This isn't a dream. Ugh, where am I? Oh boy. Do you know where we are? Hey!
Okay, well that made absolutely no sense. Just what the hell is going on in this game?
Well, actually, Johnny, it makes a lot of sense.
With Kingdom Hearts 3 on the horizon, please, please, please come out in January. It's about time that we start talking about the Kingdom Hearts franchise as a whole, and what you need to know to be able to play the third game like a pro, so you can say stuff like, I could ignored it, and actually know what the heck that means. Strap yourselves in, because, oh boy, there is a lot to cover. As Kingdom Hearts has an incredibly intricate lore that spans across 9 games and a movie, I've taken it upon myself to explain the entirety of the Kingdom Hearts story as simply and painlessly as possible, all in the hope that we can get ready for Kingdom Hearts 3. First off though, I want to start out by debunking a common misconception. The franchise has done no favors to its fans or the people wanting to get into the series for the first time by releasing 2 of the games on a console and the rest on various handheld devices, and 1 for a browser. Many believe that Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 are main titles, and therefore the rest of the games, meaning the 7 others, are there for fluff and a bit of light-hearted story that is ultimately not really needed to understand the main series. However, I am here to crush your dreams and tell you just how completely wrong that is. You have to treat every single game, all 9 of them, as main titles. Leave one out, and you will have missed a huge part of the actual story. To make this even more frustrating, one of the titles, Kingdom Hearts X, was released in Japan in 2013, but was first released to the US in 2016, meaning the rest of the world was 3 years behind on the story. The last game to be released in the series was Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue back in 2017. Yep, that is the title. However, that is not the game which Kingdom Hearts 3 will follow. Kingdom Hearts 3 is set after the events of Kingdom Hearts 3D Dream Drop Distance. Yep, it's not even set after Kingdom Hearts 2. Also, the words Kingdom and Hearts have lost all meaning to me by now. Right. This video will focus solely on lining up the events of the games in a chronological order, which means I'll have to ask you to disregard the order in which the games were published for us to go through the actual chronological timeline of the Kingdom Hearts story. To help with understanding the story of the Kingdom Hearts series, I've separated the events of the games into 3 timelines. The past, which will lead into the second timeline, the present, and running parallel beneath these 2 timelines is the timey-wimey timeline, which is to say, there is time travel in this game. I will come back to the timey-wimey timeline at the end of the video, as for now I want to focus on just the past and the present timelines of the series. To clarify, the past timeline will be everything up until the point in Kingdom Hearts 1 where Sora, Riku and Kairi are first introduced to the players, and the present timeline then kicks off from Kingdom Hearts 1 and continues all the way to Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. Ready? Let's go! In the beginning, whoa, no, not that long ago. The story of Kingdom Hearts begins with Kingdom Hearts X in the age of fairy tales in the city of Daybreak Town. At this point in time, the world is a beautiful and unified place, full of light and devoid of darkness. A large glowing heart in the sky called Kingdom Hearts is believed to be the bringer of light, and a keyblade called the X-Blade serves as its protector and keeps the heart out of mankind's reach. The X-Blade is correctly pronounced Keyblade, however I will continue to call it X-Blade just for simplicity's sake, and so we all know what freaking Keyblade we're talking about. A prophet called the Master, or the Master of Masters, just so you're completely sure that he means business, foretold of an event called the Keyblade War, which would bring upon the destruction of the world by darkness taking over and vanquishing all light. Cheerful dude. The master proceeds to write down his prophecy and hands it out to his apprentices, also known as foretellers. These foretellers are also tasked with upholding law and order in Daybreak Town and taking care of their respective unions. The unions are basically like Hogwarts houses, except there are 5, not 4, and each foreteller oversees a union of their own and trains young Keyblade bearers to fight the darkness and protect the light. The master then vanishes, and the foretellers, so dependent on the master to guide them, are left to think for themselves. Without the master there, they become determined to prevent and fight against his prophecy, which goes as well as you might think.
I hope we can all resolve this soon.
They immediately turn suspicious of each other, and it doesn't take very long for them to put their own needs and ideals first, and eventually, the very same prophecy they try to prevent is realized. With a union backing up each foreteller, they turn against each other with their unions as their armies, and the Keyblade War breaks out. Thousands of innocent lives are lost to the war, including the lives of the foretellers themselves, and the excessive loss of lives affects Kingdom Hearts in such a way that it gets trapped in the deepest darkness, while the X-Blade, its protector, shatters into 20 pieces, 7 of light and 13 of darkness. Oh, by the way, the unions consisted of teens. Actual kids died because of 5 ignorant adults. How is this in a Disney game? Anyways, the Keyblade War almost destroys the world, and it is only the light within the hearts of children that manages to restore the world again, however not fully. The fragments that are left of the world are used to create many separate worlds from those broken pieces. Hence why all the places that you visit in Kingdom Hearts 1 are separate worlds spread across the map. This also explains why all these worlds are, in the present timeline, so incredibly different from each other, as they developed under completely isolated circumstances. By now, the Keyblade War has become nothing more than but a fairy tale. Many believe that it's a myth or a romanticized explanation of how everything came to be, worlds and humans included, and few know the true story of what actually happened on that fated day. This is where a man named Xehanort comes in. Xehanort is painfully aware and intrigued by the Keyblade War, and he is deeply interested in recreating the shattered X-Blade and pulling out Kingdom Hearts from its imprisoned state. The point of this being that he wishes to recreate the world in his own image, take control of the darkness, and have it coexist with light in equilibrium. And to do that, he would have to trigger a second Keyblade War to unleash the amount of darkness he would need for that. Because, as we all know, the first war went down so well. As a young man, Xehanort trained alongside his fellow student Eraqus to become a Keyblade Master. They didn't exactly see eye to eye, and when they graduated as Keyblade Masters, Xehanort set out to find a way to see his wicked vision come true, while Eraqus did the complete opposite, as he sought a way to defeat the darkness and keep it at bay. Now this is where things start to get really confusing. As I will soon start to mention a ton of names, I will be making a family tree in real time for you to follow along with, as this will, well, you'll see. Xehanort recruits a boy named Ventus. His plan is to use Ventus as a vessel for his heart. As Xehanort himself has by this point become a frail old raisin, he needs to find a way to keep on living long enough to see his plans come to fruition. This turns out to be impossible, as Ventus is simply too pure-hearted to be able to contain Xehanort's darkness. But rather than just dumping Ventus in the nearest bin, Xehanort instead decides to use him as a tool to recreate the X-Blade. He does this by extracting what little darkness Ventus does have to create an entire separate being called Vanitas. Ventus then falls into a coma because, heck, that hurt, and Vanitas now exists as a being made out of pure darkness, and Ventus remains a ray of sunshine made out of pure light. Elsewhere, Iracus has recruited a boy named Terra and a girl called Aqua that he is training to become Keyblade masters like him. Xehanort takes the unconscious Ventus to Iracus to let Ventus heal and be trained in the art of light. And while he's there, he notices Terra, sees the potential in the boy, and decides that he should be his new vessel instead of Ventus. Years pass, and Terra, Aqua, and Ventus are well on their way to becoming Keyblade masters. As Aqua and Terra are about to take their final exam, Xehanort sees his chance to sabotage the exam for Terra, causing the young man to fail. From this point onwards, Xehanort manipulates Terra in various creative ways to turn him against his friends and open his heart to darkness. And this sends the trio on a course that leads them straight to the Keyblade Graveyard, the place where the Keyblade War took place, which is now home to thousands of abandoned Keyblades from that same war. Here, Xehanort gets incredibly close to getting what he wants, and a couple of essential things happen. First off, Ventus faces off his dark half Vanitas, and as these two people, one of light and one of pure darkness, collide and eventually merge back together, it creates the perfect conditions for the X-Blade to be forged, albeit a very fragile one. Secondly, Xehanort successfully takes over Terra's body, leaving a piece of himself inside of Terra so he can continue on living. This creates Terra Xehanort, a silver-haired, yellow-eyed, corrupted version of Terra, a look that becomes a telltale sign of Xehanort's corruption throughout the rest of the series. A piece of Terra's will is still left, and the eternal fight they go through as they fight over control of Terra's body is enough to cause this new Terra Xehanort amnesia. Meanwhile, Aqua is forced to battle against the merged Ventus and Vanitas. In the midst of the fight, the unstable X-Blade is destroyed, and Ventus takes his chance to fight against Vanitas, but at the cost of his own life. He drives Vanitas out, seemingly destroying him, but his heart has become so damaged by the process that it escapes his body to seek safety, and his body is left as an empty vessel, a point that I will come back to later. In the moment the X-Blade was destroyed, the light it cast consumed everything in its vicinity, and with brute force it scattered the trio across the worlds, leaving Terra Xehanort in a place called Radiant Garden, and Aqua and Ventus drifting together elsewhere. Aqua manages to carry Ventus's body to an abandoned chamber to keep him safe, and promises to find a way to recover his heart. But first, she tracks down Terra Xehanort in Radiant Garden. Upon confronting him, Aqua discovers that the real Terra, trapped somewhere inside Terra Xehanort's body, is caught in a place called the Realm of Darkness, that being a timeless place made out of the darkness in people's hearts. In an attempt to pull out the true Terra and bring his conscious self back into the realm of light, the realm that all people primarily exist in, Aqua sacrifices herself and gets trapped in the realm of darkness instead of Terra. Terra only gains a small amount of consciousness, enough to always challenge Xehanort, but not enough to win over his body again. Aqua remains trapped in the realm of darkness to this day. Terra Xehanort, still with amnesia, remains in Radiant Garden, with the help of a man named Break, whom Xehanort befriended long before the battle at the Keyblade Graveyard took place. Terra Xehanort is brought to a man named Ansem the Wise, a scientist in Radiant Garden who takes Terra Xehanort under his wing and makes him his apprentice. Break and Terra Xehanort both start conducting experiments with the darkness within people's hearts and take in several apprentices of their own to expand on their experiments. This eventually leads to them releasing a massive cluster of Heartless into the realm of light, Heartless being creatures created from the darkness within people's hearts when they die. and Terra Xehanort takes over the research facility and banishes Ansem the Wise to the realm of darkness. With Ansem out of the way, Terra Xehanort finds a way to split himself into two new beings. An artificially created Heartless made from his heart, and a nobody, a being that is created from the empty body that's left behind when a heart leaves the host, but only if the heart is strong enough to create a nobody. Now it's time to take a deep breath and have a look at the family tree. Terra Xehanort's Heartless is named Ansem, and his nobody is named Xemnas. They steal Ansem the Wise's name just to make things super easy for everyone. Xemnas is also an anagram of Ansem with an X in it. A nice little nod to the X-blade that Xehanort remains very healthily fixated on. That man truly needs a hobby. Have you tried pottery, Xehanort, gardening? No? Okay. Break is also transformed into a nobody, this one called Sigbar, and the remaining 6 apprentices fall to the same fate. But unlike Sigbar, the rest have been led to believe that their new nobody forms happened because of an accident, and that their new mission is to work together towards becoming fully human again and regaining their hearts. Sigbar is the only member of the organization who is aware of its true purpose. Yet another thing I will have to come back to later. Xemnas then forms Organization 13, the group of nobodies that wears black coats which look exactly like the black coat Master of Masters wore. Coincidence? I think not! For the next 10 years, the organization continues to grow as Xemnas recruits more nobodies to fill out the remaining 6 spaces in the organization until there are 13 in total, the number 13 reminiscing the 13 pieces of darkness the X-blade split into.
How many games was that? 2? Oh, damn it.
We'll return to the nobodies again, but for now I will have to move on to the next game in the series. Trust me, it will make more sense this way. Hopefully. And so we have reached the very first game that was ever released in the Kingdom Hearts series, Kingdom Hearts. Back when we thought this was going to be a light-hearted and easy to follow story. Mickey sure fooled us there.
Your Majesty! Now, Sora, let's close this door for good!
Kingdom Hearts is set 10 years after Birth by Sleep. 10 years of Aqua wandering around the realm of darkness, 10 years of Ventus sleeping in Castle Oblivion, and 10 years of Terra Xehanort having plenty of time to create Ansem and Xemnas and plot against the world. But our new trio, one of the more familiar ones to newcomers to the series, is completely unaware of any of this. We meet Sora, Riku and Kairi on Destiny Islands, a remote and peaceful island where the trio dream of going on an adventure together to discover new worlds. Oh, that's so sweet. Let's ruin it. About 20 minutes into the game, their world is destroyed and it's overtaken by Heartless. Riku has, at some point, been persuaded to think that darkness is better than light, and has a brief moment of offering Sora to come with him to escape the island and travel the world with him, before Riku abruptly disappears into a black void. In that moment, Sora also obtains the Keyblade we all know and love, the Kingdom Key. Sora then sets off to find Kairi and does so in a little cave on the island. Here she whooshes straight through Sora and disappears, and Sora is forced out through the cave and cast into a different world, Traverse Town. Traverse Town is a world built on the remnants of other worlds destroyed by Heartless. And those who survive the destruction of their world, just like Sora survived the destruction of Destiny Islands, end up in Traverse Town. It is here that Sora gangs up with Donald and Goofy to find Riku and Kairi. Look, I tried really hard not to include any Disney characters for as long as possible to keep everything simple and straightforward, but honestly, I can't avoid it any longer. Sora, Donald and Goofy travel the galaxy and venture from one world to the next, gathering information on the whereabouts of Riku and Kairi, while stopping, or at least slowing down, the destruction of other worlds with the help of Sora's Keyblade. While this is going on, Riku has teamed up with Maleficent, who is in possession of Kairi's sleeping body. Much like Ventus, Kairi's heart has apparently escaped her body, and all that's left is a sleeping shell. Maleficent convinces Riku that the only way to help Kairi wake up again is to follow her orders and capture 7 princesses of light to open a pathway to Kingdom Hearts. It should also be pointed out that Maleficent is merely a pawn for the real antagonist plan, Ansem the Heartless. When Sora, Riku and Kairi finally reunite, Ansem reveals himself, and it is explained that the place Kairi's heart is hiding has been inside Sora's body all along. Back at Destiny Islands, when she flew through Sora's body, she left her heart behind to stay inside him for safekeeping. Seeing no other way around it, Sora uses a Keyblade on himself to unlock his heart, releasing Kairi's heart and waking her up from her comatose state, but having essentially just killed himself, Sora creates a Heartless from his now free heart. Again, this game has Disney characters in it. But not to worry, Kairi manages to fix the situation and turn him back to normal by hugging him because of friendship. However, by having released Kairi's heart, Sora accidentally also fulfilled Ansem's plan, as Kairi happened to be the last Princess of Light needed to open the door that leads to Kingdom Hearts. Having the door open is catastrophically bad. Remember how Kingdom Hearts is currently stuck in the deepest, darkest place that exists? All that deep darkness is now on the verge of seeping out into the world. After a long and hard battle, Sora defeats Ansem, and Sora and Riku proceed to work together to close the door. But for reasons unknown, you apparently have to push and pull at the door to be able to close it, so Riku sacrifices himself and pushes from one side of the door and traps himself inside the realm of darkness. Having saved the world, Sora is now on the quest to find Riku again, which leads into the next game on the present timeline, Chain of Memories. Their new quest leads Sora, Donald and Goofy to Castle Oblivion, the place where Ventus is sleeping. However, this is still unbeknownst to the trio and the new people living in Castle Oblivion, Organization 13. As Sora moves through Castle Oblivion, his memories steadily become distorted, and nobody named Naminé shares a special connection to Sora and has the ability to change his memories and those connected to him. Thus, she replaces all the memories he has of Kairi with herself, all under the command of an organization member called Marluxia. Naminé isn't just a random nobody, she happens to be Kairi's nobody, and was formed when Kairi's heart was resting inside of Sora's body, which, in theory, left behind an empty shell for Naminé to be born from. Due to the unusual circumstances in which Naminé was born, as Kairi wasn't technically dead, she gained unusual powers as well. Her special connection to Sora stems purely from the fact that she is Kairi's nobody, and Kairi shares the original connection to Sora. Sora manages to move all the way through the castle, where he eventually faces Marluxia to fight for his life and Naminé's freedom. After Marluxia's defeat, Naminé explains the damage that has been done to Sora's memories and how to fix it. He has to sleep in a memory pod while she repairs his memories, but at the cost of forgetting everything that has happened in Castle Oblivion, including the people he has met. Sora agrees to this and goes to sleep for about a year. But it wasn't just Sora who ventured through Castle Oblivion. As Sora was fighting his way to Marluxia, Riku managed to escape the realm of darkness with the help of a man named Diz, who called out to him and enabled his escape. Diz and Riku then gang up and work together towards a common goal of stopping Organization 13 and helping Naminé help Sora regain his memories. Elsewhere, another game runs alongside Chain of Memories, which actually branched out already back in Kingdom Hearts 1, and that is 358 over 2 days. To illustrate this, I'll add a little mini branch to the present timeline for my own sanity that shoots out just before Chain of Memories. 358 over 2 days is about a boy named Roxas. Roxas is Sora's nobody. You see, back when Sora stabbed himself in the heart and turned into a Heartless, he also left behind his body an empty vessel, which then was enough to form Roxas. If you think Roxas looks familiar, you are correct. He looks a lot like a man we got to know about 15 minutes ago named Ventus. And the explanation for that is saved for the timey-wimey timeline, so hold tight. Being a nobody, and therefore a perfect candidate for Organization 13 that consists purely of nobodies, Xemnas quickly recruits Roxas to become a part of the gang. Here, Roxas has a pretty happy existence until Chain of Memories rolls around and Naminé is in the process of restoring Sora's memories back to their original state. She discovers that she's not able to repair Sora's memories because part of them are still inside of Roxas. This orders Riku, who has chosen to be disguised as Ansem, Xehanort's Heartless just to make things really confusing, to go kidnap Roxas, so they can put him in a fake town with fake friends and fake memories to live out his last days before Roxas eventually has to merge back together with Sora. We're now at the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 2. Roxas has merged with Sora, and Sora is finally awake again. He's unaware and too big for his clothes.
Donald! Goofy!
Just 4 games left. Just 4 games left. It's fine.
As Naminé promised, Sora has no memory of what happened in Castle Oblivion, not even the people he met, and neither does he remember Roxas. Sora, Donald and Goofy continue where they left off before they entered Castle Oblivion and go looking for Riku and eventually end up having to deal with Organization 13 as well, as they start to get in the trio's way. The organization has by this point become extremely prominent and turned into the main antagonists of the series. Once again, Sora visits a number of worlds until they finally end up in the world that never was, where Castle Oblivion resides, for the final showdown. It is here that Sora also reunites with Riku and Kairi once more. Dis and Riku arrive at the scene where Riku finally throws away his disguise, and Dis reveals his true identity as being Ansem the Wise, the true Ansem and scientist that Terra Xehanort and the rest of his pupils overthrew so many years ago. Confronting Xemnas, they learn that the organization has created an artificial Kingdom Hearts, which was previously believed to be designed so the organization members could regain their humanity by regaining their hearts. But it is then revealed that it's simply for Xemnas to take over the world and remake it in his own image. I mean, he is half Xehanort, so the apple doesn't fall far from the tree and all that. Our group of heroes manages to destroy Xemnas' Kingdom Hearts before it is fully complete and proceed to take down Xemnas. And through a bit of convoluted traveling, they return to Destiny Islands, the very same island we remember from so many years ago, and for a moment, everything seems to be okay. But this is Square Enix, so of course it's not okay. Remember old fragile raisin-looking Xehanort, the original big bad guy who had to take over Terra to be able to live on? Turns out that the defeat of Ansem in Kingdom Hearts 1 and the defeat of Xemnas in Kingdom Hearts 2 has now brought Xehanort back to life. This isn't exactly great news, and once this is discovered, it is decided that it's time for Sora and Riku to go through the Mark of Mastery exam, so the two of them can become actual Keyblade Masters. All this time they've been saving the world, they've apparently just waved their Keyblades around for funsies. This leads into the next game, Kingdom Hearts 3D Dream Drop Distance, the game that Kingdom Hearts 3 will follow straight after. Their exam takes place inside sleeping worlds, worlds that have been destroyed by darkness but were never saved or brought back into the light again, and these worlds are now seen as being asleep. And to be able to visit them, Sora and Riku has to go into a state of sleep as well. As with Terra and Aqua's exam, Sora and Riku have their exam tampered with by none other than Xehanort. It is in this game that Xehanort's incredibly detailed plans are revealed, including every plan he set up to act as a plan B in case his original plans were foiled. Always being 2 steps ahead of everyone else, Organization 13 wasn't created just to make an artificial Kingdom Hearts. It was also created as a place to find 13 hosts to act as 13 vessels for Xehanort, so he could create, 13 versions of himself. These 13 versions of himself would then serve as the 13 pieces of darkness that Xehanort need to balance out the 7 pieces of light to create a true X-Blade. It's not just Xemnas that had a second purpose with their existence. Ansem, his Heartless, also had a very specific job besides snuffing out worlds and opening the door to Kingdom Hearts, which I will get back to later. Back at Sora and Riku's exam, Xehanort manipulates Sora in the attempt to use whatever little darkness Sora has inside of him to sway him to the dark side and use him as the final 13th vessel. At the very last moment, Sora is saved and Xehanort's plans are delayed once again. The exam ends and only Riku is declared Keyblade Master, as Sora was barely present for half of his exam, and it is decided that it's time to find several more Keyblade wielders to put them through the exam, including Kairi, in preparation for the eventual showdown with Xehanort, and that is the end of Kingdom Hearts 3D Dream Drop Distance. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of the video that this game contains time travel, or at least some form of it, and I promised to explain it and the many connections made between characters throughout the game, such as why Roxas looks like Ventus. Well, there's no use in avoiding the inevitable, so it's time to dig into the timey-wimey timeline of Kingdom Hearts that runs parallel with all the other games. First off, time travel is a little strange in this game, and quite different from what you might be used to when it comes to time travel. To be able to time travel in Kingdom Hearts, you have to abandon your body and exist merely as a heart. A person can then only travel in their own timeline, meaning they can't go further back than they were born, and a heart can only move in one direction, either to the past or back to their original point of origin. A person cannot move beyond their origin and into the future, and it is also impossible to change events that have already happened and are set in stone, meaning you can only affect the future beyond your point of origin by whispering sweet nothings to your former self, as once you return to your proper place in time, you will forget everything you've done while traveling. But you subconsciously still follow the path you set out for yourself by traveling back in time. Now that is out of the way, let's start this timey-wimey timeline off with the man who is actually doing all the time traveling, which is, of course, Xehanort. For Xehanort to be able to time travel, he has to have existed as merely a heart at some point in his lifetime. He made this possible by splitting himself into Xemnas and Ansem, as Ansem, his Heartless, became the being that was only his heart. Gaining this ability to time travel was the true reason for Ansem's creation, and Ansem travels back in time to a much younger Xehanort to tell him of what will happen in the future and pass on his ability to time travel, so Xehanort gains the ability to go back and find other incarnations of himself to help him get closer to finding 13 pieces of darkness. Going from young Xehanort gaining the ability to time travel to Birth by Sleep, where Ventus is first introduced to us as Xehanort's pupil, we reach the key moment that connects Ventus to Sora and the rest of the game. The exact moment Xehanort extracted the darkness from Ventus's body and created Vanitas, Ventus nearly died, and as a result of this, his heart was forced to seek refuge within someone else to stay safe. This should remind you of another time when such a thing happened, when Kairi's heart took refuge inside Sora's body for the very same reason. Ventus did it before it was cool, and his heart found little newborn baby Sora, and Sora offered to fill out the space left behind by Vanitas, and it is because of this exchange that Vanitas also ends up resembling Sora, because of the very brief connection Sora had with Vanitas as well. Ventus regains consciousness, and jumping forth another 4 years to Ventus's final showdown with Vanitas, it is here Ventus sacrifices himself to take down Vanitas for good, the result being that his heart takes so much damage that he yet again falls into a comatose state, and his heart is forced to seek refuge with someone else, and as he already has a connection to Sora, Sora agrees to protect Ventus's heart as it heals. Jumping forward again to the moment Sora unlocks his heart, releasing Kairi's heart and his own, it wasn't just his own heart he released into the world, but also Ventus's. This brings us to the reason why Roxas looks like Ventus. Ventus's heart momentarily jumped into Roxas's body when Sora became a Heartless. But at the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 2, when Roxas merges back together with Sora, Ventus's heart returned to Sora as well. Now for the last time and mind-boggling thing that I personally find quite cool, we have to go back to something I very briefly mentioned at the very beginning of the video. As I talked about the Master of Masters, a prophet able to foretell the future with his gazing eye, it turns out that his gazing eye isn't just a metaphorical way of describing his ability to foresee the future, but rather it's an actual physical thing. A blue eye with a cat-like pupil that he uses to look into the future. He placed this gazing eye in his Keyblade, which he then passed down to one of his apprentices, that proceeded to pass it down to his apprentice, and so on, all the way down to Xehanort, and eventually even Riku bears a Keyblade with a gazing eye. Doing this allowed the Master to see everything the Keyblade experienced back in his own time, a neat and incredibly sneaky detail that verifies just how much thought has gone into this game, as the gazing eye symbol was present even in the first Kingdom Hearts, but only fully explained in Kingdom Hearts X, which came out more than a decade later. And so this concludes my simple-ish breakdown of the Kingdom Hearts series to prepare us all for Kingdom Hearts 3. There are, of course, a million things I have left out, such as the secret dandelions, Lux's black chest, everything that relates to Xion, or even how Sora got his Keyblade. However, that will have to be for a different video. So, what can we expect from Kingdom Hearts 3? Hopefully, we'll get to see Sora save Ventus, we'll get an explanation as to why Aqua at the end of the trailer E3 suddenly looks like she's being used as another one of Xehanort's vessels, and perhaps we'll even get to actually battle Xehanort himself. But knowing the Kingdom Hearts series, we'll most likely have to play another 5 handheld games to even get close to a final conclusion.
Hey, sorry, you went off on a tangent and nothing made sense, so I went to make tea. Are you okay?
Now, with me dead on the couch, I thank you all so much for listening. If you're here at the end of the video, you are a champion. And you should be able to wield your own Keyblade. I have decided that just now. Thank you all so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe and take a look at all the other stuff on the channel. But most importantly, I hope you all have an amazing day, and until next time.